Welcome to Cars on Call. I am automotive journalist Steve Schutz. I'm here with, um, uh, in order,
Who
I
are you
guess.
with?
Uh, uh, we missed Adam, so I don't. I'm gonna say you first because we missed you. You weren't here at the last one. Adams, man, great to see you.
Yep.
It's great to be seen. Glad to be back. I watched your last episode and it was a good one. The car buying experience was interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So, automotive consultant, connoisseur, and expert and collector car expert is here. Thank you, Adams, for saying hi. And Stephan Moran, our trauma surgeon. One of the things that sets Cars on Call apart is we have a trauma surgeon who has done research on car crashes and knows so much about car crashes and regrettably has operated on many car crashes. So, Stephan, good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
We're gonna launch.
We
This
got
is
a
like
lot. We got a lot to
this
talk
is
about.
this is fucking crazy. Stephan, tell us about Jaguar.
Okay, let me get my share screen set up here. Make sure I get this right. Okay, so
Jeff, while you're getting that, did you cancel your truck order in favor of getting the new Jaguar?
yeah.
'Cause it seems like
Yeah.
you, baby. It seems like
Yes.
you.
All right, I
All
think
right.
here's the right one. Okay, so here is
Jaguar had a launch, and there's so much here, Stephan.
so Jaguar. Let's set the stage here. Okay, so when we're talking about Jaguar, let's talk about who owns Jaguars. All right, just kind of set the stage for who are the enthusiasts who buy these cars. According to JD Power, the average age is 54, which is 2 years older than the regular car owner. They're more affluent individuals. They're looking for a luxurious and prestigious vehicles. 55% male, 45% female, top 10% of all earners in the US. Basically, they want a statement piece, exclusivity, rarity with a bit of sporting heritage and sportiness to the car. So that is kind of who you're. So think about that. That who's been buying Jaguars over the years. I may be pronouncing. I'll just say Jag. All right. So this week they just dropped a bombshell. Forget everything that you've just heard. They clearly have given up on that target audience. They've thrown them out the window. They don't give a shit. They hired Captive. It's like Jaguar hired Captive 8. Remember who Captive 8 is?
Oh yeah, they created the Bud Light.
Yeah, the wildly successful
Dylan Mulvaney
team.
Bud
Yeah.
Light ad.
Yeah, the wildly successful team behind Bud Light. So it's like they hired them. Okay, that disaster cost Bud Light $1.4 million in revenue. This latest is going to cost Jaguar, the brand, in my mind.
It cost Bud Light a
Billion.
billion.
1.4 billion in revenue. Yes.
And enough market share loss to concede the title of U.S. beer top seller to Modelo.
Right.
After what, 30 years or 40 years?
Yeah.
So here we are, Bud Light 2.0. Okay. The new brand strategy for Jaguar ahead of its full all-electric launch with I got to say, that's just crazy in my mind. So there will be no internal combustion engine Jaguars anymore. They'll all be electric starting in 2026. So they started this debut by modernizing their typeface. And look at this. Small J, small a, capital G, small U, it may be a capital U, small a, small r. I mean, what the hell? That new logo.
Someone said online, and I thought this was perfect, that the typeface that they used would be perfectly at home on a little girl's lunchbox.
There it is. How about that? There's a lunchbox with it on there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so they released this 30-second video. And according to press release from Jaguar, this video recaptures the ethos of founder Sir William's line to copy nothing by being unique and original. Okay, all right, so we get this 30-second video of woke ass nonsense. It looks like a RuPaul mishmash of Teletubbies meets VeggieTales meets HR Puffin stuff. Okay, so here we go.
Oh,
Nothing.
If you're going to show it,
I'm not showing the video. I'm just going to pull some highlights. So here we go. We've got this mishmash of androgynous people, colors, races, crazy colors, and copy nothing, create exuberant. delete ordinary, break molds. This reminds me of the old Apple, commercial, throwing the sledgehammer, and then copying that. And here it is. And I'm like thinking to myself, I watched this 30-second video, and you know what this reminded me of? The total fail of Infinity when they launched
Yeah.
and had this whole selling a new brand, a culture, and didn't show a picture of a car. Well, this apparently is preparing you for their reveal at Miami Art Week next month. Okay, they're launching a car or something more at Miami Art Week. So who are they appealing now to? Is their target audience artists, people that collect art? But anyway, I got to say one thing. Okay, 1.4 million views on YouTube, 160 million views on X, of which there's not a whole lot of positivity other than people watching this, like saying, "What the hell? What is this?" So I'm going to edit that and let you guys launch into this as well.
Well, this hit me so hard because it was marketing my former self and an automobile that I have, and we all have, like, revered as a great
By the
brand.
way, let me just that this was not them marketing your former self. This is your marketing was your former self. This was not you, right? This new those Teletubby guys was not you back when you were young.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
right.
Marketing,
Let's just make that
a
clear.
marketing profession. No, yeah, I was not doing the Teletubbies, but it's interesting because it hit me like in both ways, and I was pretty repulsed. I tried to be open-minded. I watched it a second time, and I decided I just can't get there. And Steph makes great points because, I mean, if you're in the marketing world, of course, you sort of have to look over your shoulder and see, what has worked, what is the thing that we're trying to accomplish with this ad. Sometimes it's branding, sometimes it's response, sometimes it's image, sometimes it's retention of an existing customer. It can have different purposes. Well, the biggest purpose and the thing that happens in when marketing tends to overlook what its purpose is is they defile the number one way to get any response or any traction or anything positive out of it, which is called a market to message match. And Budweiser missed it dramatically and openly, and it was obvious. And you could have been a seventh grader who sort of liked advertising and understood what a terrible misstep that was. And Steph alluded to the Infinity ads of the past that showed rocks and trees and organic things and said, oh, this is a great way to introduce a car company. And that was really historically, that would be considered the first purely branding effort by somebody. The difference between the Infinity terrible model, like a model to study and learn what not to do, and this current Jaguar one is Infinity had nothing to lose. They had no heritage, no background, no legacy, no my rich uncle drove one, or no, I remember them when they were dominating Le Mans. Jaguar did have all that. And with this proud man here, Sir William Lyons, and I mean pride in the best way he should be, and he is Sir because he was knighted for his contributions, not just to the automotive world, but to the world. And there he is, this elegant, hard charging winner of a person. And to say that the current Jag ad represents his legacy is just a mockery. And
I don't want to interrupt real quick. And with this Jag, remember what their tagline was? Grace, space, and pace.
Yep.
And go back to that. And that's what grace, space, and pace. That's exactly what Jag was. But no, we get Teletubbies and VeggieTales.
Well, we get the bloke who is woke goes broke.
Yes.
It's what we get out of the new one. And it's just, and I'm going to say one last thing, and I know Steve wants to weigh in here too. This whole attempt at being avant-garde and leading the way and being so brilliant with your, quote, new message, it's not new now. The woke movement had its moment in the sun. It has we're now talking past tense. So you look hopelessly behind by now trying to say, "Hey, look at this! Aren't we woke and aren't we impressive with the this market that no one has ever really sort of showcased? You know, they've been marginalized, but now this market is who we're trying to be, something completely different." That's old news. So what it did to Budweiser was to create a big nothing for their marketing investment, and so there's where Jaguar literally is copying nothing.
Yeah, this is. I thought it was a combination of Edsel and Budweiser, Edsel two and Budweiser two, and the Budweiser analogy is very apt. And I appreciate you bringing that up, Adams, because here's what Budweiser did: they wanted to move forward, and in trying to move forward, they expressed deep contempt for their current customers. That's what this is. This is, and I wish I could remember what Stephan just said because that was like brilliant. I know Veggie Tales and Teletubbies was in there. I call this
And HR Puffin stuff.
And HR
HR Puffin stuff.
Sid and Marty Krofft.
I'm gonna. You know what you ought to do is you ought to write that down. That whole sentence you said, Stephan, and then I would pay $1,000 for the sledgehammer, and you just put it up with your line underneath it, like in some kind of box, as the stupidest thing ever in automotive. I said it was a woke marketer's roofie fueled wet dream come true. And this ad would be great for a vaping. If it's a vape, this ad's good for that.
Got it. Yeah.
Flavored condoms, or an exclusive Soho sex club. That's it. Not a car company. This is contempt for your existing customers. And it's contempt, as you just said, Adams, it's not just contempt for your existing company, it's contempt for your history. And you do that, you're right. Infiniti had nothing to lose. I never thought about that. Infiniti had nothing to lose. Jaguar has this history, this rich history to lose, and their existing customers to lose, and they just pissed all over them. There's a beautiful answer to a question you can find on YouTube. It was Steve Jobs. I'm sure we've all seen this, where he said, you know something? He said, too many technology companies, they have their technology and they try to make it so they can sell it to the customer. He said, you have to start with the customer, see what they want, and they may not even know what they want. But you have to say, this is what the customer wants, and then figure out a way to give them that. The best example I can think of where the customer didn't really know what they want, but they kind of did, was the Lexus LS 400 in 1990. And lo and behold, Lexus gave them something that they didn't even know they wanted. They know they wanted a German kind of driving experience. They knew they wanted Japanese quality. They knew they wanted luxury. They didn't know they wanted that. But Lexus said, we have studied customers up, down, and sideways. Luxury car customers, and this is what they want. And they said, here it is. And Jaguar, what the fuck is this?
And I would imagine that the marketing team probably thinks, oh, aren't we so clever? I guarantee they're getting backlash right now, but I think they probably are saying, hey, if you look at the past 90, 60, 30 days and the trending number of references that Jaguar would have had online has skyrocketed, and they're probably high-fiving or whatever they would do, I guess doing a transitioning chest bump. But when you look at the
transitioning chest bump.
They slid that one in. Yeah, very sly.
But if what people are saying, if what people are saying is negative, then it's not good. It used to be any publicity is good publicity. That was an old phrase back in, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah, P.T. Barnum.
Yeah, but now that you can get your news and get opinions from a million different sources, this publicity is a firestorm. It is not good, Jaguar. I don't care how many mentions you think counts in your world of thumbs up likes. These are not thumbs up.
One thing I got to say is that the world typically has a very short-term memory. So by the time Jaguar finally rolls out a car in sometime in 2026, I think people will forget.
Stephan, you just quoted an Infinity ad campaign that is
Oh,
35 years old.
oh yeah.
Forget about the short memory, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we want to move on because I mean, gosh, our emotions.
Yeah. Let's talk about our 3 favorite Jags.
But
Before we do,
okay.
I saved this because this was the best, there was so much online.
Oh yeah.
There's no way. This is going to be, Stefan, our grandkids will be talking about this ad campaign, just like Infinity, right? Infinity,
Yeah.
the
We're
rocks and
still
trees, we're still talking about because it was so stupid. And this
Yeah.
is even stupider. Okay, the best line from, I forgot where I got this, but it was online and it said, okay, oh, cool. Another centuries old brand destroyed by a trust fund baby art major in the midst of rediscovering her sexuality.
Kaboom.
There you go.
There
Yeah.
you go.
All right, let's go through our 3 favorites. Start with go ahead. Start with
Oh,
yours.
okay. All right. Let me go to my share screen here. Here we go. Give me a second. I got to click around here. There we go. Share.
While you're doing that,
So,
Adams and I are going to do a transitioning chest bump.
yeah. They should have a picture of the just the E-Type. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
You got
E-Type
to.
is just, Ferrari says the most. I mean, I know you guys probably thought of this or didn't want to pick it, but I just had absolutely just to this day stunning, fantastic car. And I've got a weird one here for you. A 1975 XJ Coupe.
The C.
I love 2-door coupes. And in 1975, this Jaguar came out. These pretty rare, actually very rare, gorgeous color. Reminds me of the Peugeot 504 Coupe, about the same era, same time. And I just have a soft spot in my heart for 2-door coupes. And I would absolutely love to have this car. And then the other one,
That's a beautiful one, by the way. Go back
It
to that
really
just for a
is.
second.
Yeah. I'd
Is
forgotten
that-
about that. That's a good pick.
I used to see that one. I see that around, obviously rare, but I used to see that when I was a kid, and I thought it was really cool because you have the front end of the sedan, but then they just really did it nice. By the way, it's hard to turn a sedan design into a coupe and make it look good. That's beautiful.
No kidding. Yeah, that doesn't look like it was pieced together at all. And I can remember,
Right.
I bet it was US only, and you probably have seen them back in the day. You could get them from a US dealer with the vinyl top.
That's
Yes,
right.
and
That's
I
right.
specifically did not get one with the vinyl top.
Yeah. Yeah. Good choice.
I only saw ones with vinyl top.
God.
And then my other favorite, the R-Type. So the big XJ sedan that, the XJ sedans were late 70s all the way into the 90s. And this was when you saw somebody, this was like pre-Lexus days. When you saw somebody drive an XJ, to me, it's like they had made it. They were successful. They could afford this luxury. And to me, this is what Jag embodied for this type ownership. And I absolutely love this car. And here's one a little bit later. Got the little pre-Range Rover side piece on there. But I love these. Those are my 3 favorites, those 3 cars.
I love
Steve,
that R model.
Yes, the R model. So this is supercharged sedan. And then Steve, we can roll right into yours because your pictures are next.
I had to pick this, and you're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You had to. That's so fabulous. Steph, can we blow that up? Am I asking too much technical intrigue?
I should be. All right, let me stop share. It should be full screen. I mean, it should be. There we go.
Steve, talk about that XK120.
Yeah, XK120.
Look at that. Lord.
I knew someone would pick the E-Type. Of course, is number one.
Right.
It's the best. It's one of the greatest cars of all time. But I figured someone else would pick it. The XK120. This is classic post World War II exuberance, post World War II class, money, and taste, and even bravery. Because these cars would go. It was called the XK120 because it went 120 miles an hour. You want to go 120 miles an hour in this? I bet it doesn't have the things behind the seats that pop up when you roll over,
But yeah,
like Porsches. So
I
it's
thought
a beautiful,
about this.
beautiful
That would be your head and shoulders would
Yeah.
pop up.
Yeah, I thought about the 120 and the 140. And even when you see this car today, it is just jaw dropping. And can you imagine when you saw this car at the time of its release back then? I mean, it is just fluid curves. It's just gorgeous.
You
This
know,
is
and the
when
cool
Jaguar
thing, go ahead.
this is when Jaguar was at its peak. And
Absolutely.
it was, with technology, excellence, speed, performance. This was peak apex predator Jaguar.
Yeah, yeah, nicely said. And you look at this car, and like Steph alluded, in 1953 or whenever the split screen windscreen 120 was around and current, park that next to a 53 Buick, and look how differently the design philosophies were
Wow.
emerging.
Yeah.
This car just looks like it was drawn through a wind tunnel, of course, which they scarcely had anything back in the day. They were taping yarn to pieces of metal and blowing a fan over it, and that was as good as they could do with the wind tunnel. But you can tell that thing's shaped by the wind, and it looks like a Jaguar.
This
The
is like a
animal, the Jaguar, like a flexing fast animal. It's just a fabulous design.
this is a car you would kiss your wife goodbye, hug your kids, get into this, go for a fast ride in the country, and then go pick up your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just, this is a mid 80s XJ6. And this car it was in the intro for the TV show LA Law. And that just shows you how cool Jaguars were in the late 70s, early 80s,
Yeah.
as far as the sedans go. This was, Beverly Hills, law degree. I heard about a law firm in the 80s that when you made partner, you got a Jaguar, they gave you a Jaguar. This car was just everything you said, Stefan. Pace. What was it again? I always forget.
Pace, space, and grace.
There you go.
Necessarily not in that order. I can't remember exactly the order.
When you
It's
said that
beautiful.
was on LA,
LA, LA Law. Yeah.
I remember seeing it. It's almost like every time there was a criminal on Columbo, it was like
Oh,
the
yeah.
wealthy dentist who was up to no good, drove the Jaguar.
Yeah. It's yeah, that's so 70s, by the way. You kiss your wife goodbye and go to your neighbor's house with that Jaguar. So this is a third gen XJ, and I picked the XJR too for the same reason Stefan did. The supercharger, it was understated, it was very fast, and those are my three favorite. But those are also the three, they captured those three eras: the post-war, and then the 70s, 80s, and then the kind of the aughts, or the late 90s, early aughts, where they were just trying to hold on. I mentioned this, by the way, if you look back at that car, I mentioned this in an article I wrote about a Porsche. When Porsche introduced the Cayenne SUV, I went to the XJ launch, or the new XJ, which was the fourth gen, around 2002 or something like that, 2003. And the CEO of Jaguar North America said, Jaguar makes fast, beautiful cars. And he paused and said, cars. And we will not make an SUV. Back then, Jaguar and Porsche sold almost exactly the same number of cars. It was like 25,000 cars a year in the United States. Boy, how things change.
Wow. Just to think that they were selling on par back then, and I guess Jaguar sold under 10,000 cars last year. Would that be a
Yeah, it was under 10,000, and they have SUVs now, of course. And then
right?
Porsche, I think, is at 80-ish thousand. So it's just ridiculous.
Wow.
All right, what are your favorite sounds?
Well, I've chosen the obvious of the obvious. That the E-Type is just on my list too, and Steph's was maybe a Series 2. This is the Series 1 car. Little detailed differences with the parking lamps and the covered headlights, which was just so dang sexy. And I was fortunate enough to own this car, and that was my favorite color, the opalescent silver blue. And it's just a wonderful design, designed by a Royal Air Force aerodynamicist, Malcolm Sayer, who understood keeping aircraft aloft and moving fast. He understood that implicitly, and he would not go down like, in the books, like with Pininfarina or Giugiaro, because he didn't have that long history of designing cars. But look what he did. I mean, this is like just a guy who kind of came out of nowhere looking for a job, after the war. And this is what he sits down and does. It's just unbelievable that he pulled this off. And he also designed the interior with the switchgear and all the gauges and the way that the dash folds down. All that is aircraft stuff. And yeah, this is on everybody's list. So that was an obvious pick. If you want to scoot down, you'll get to see the wonderful XK motor. That's the 4.2 inline six, 260-ish, 265 horse in its day. I'd probably over detail that one a little bit. I don't think they came quite that polished new, but I just couldn't stop. I just thought it looked good. And there's the other side of it. Those are my straight tube headers. They originally came with porcelain exhaust manifolds that always cracked off. And so the straight tube headers was an excellent way to burn your hand anytime you worked on it. And let's see, the second one, and this is just an oddball pick. I know it's a little obscure, but this is the XJ13 that Sir William Lyons was planning another Le Mans assault. You know, they won it with the D-type and the C-type back in the day. And this is the XJ13. So if you scroll down, you'll get to see that there's a V12 stuffed in the middle of this thing before, let me underline that, the Lamborghini Miura did the same thing. And the Miura, of course, gets credit where it's due as the first production mid-engine V12. But this car was a breath away from becoming a production car because Jaguar was not afraid to turn their latest and greatest race car into a production car. I mean, that was like par for the course. You know, it's like put some bumpers on it and satisfy the feds and just call it a car. But this car was stillborn due to labor problems in England, and you know, they overfunded and it was costing too much money to develop. But just to think that Jaguar would have had this car as a production car had they not had those. I mean, you can see right on it. You can look, and those are E-type taillights sitting right there. It's got an E-type front end. It's got all kind of things that were already in production, inclusive of that magnificent V12. And my third one is an oddball pick as well. A lot of people don't even know this car existed. I didn't until it was well into production, but they made an estate, as they would call it, or as Stephan likes to refer to the cool phrase, a shooting brake. And this is called the Sport Brake. That was introduced in 2020. You could get it with the turbocharged four-cylinder.
Just for the audience, it's an XF. A lot of people are familiar with the smaller one, whatever. The X-Type had a shooting brake too, but this is the XF.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, this is like a mid or even larger sized wagon. And there was an S, which is the one in that bottom photo, that had a 380 horse supercharged V6. And that's a piece of equipment right there. And I think it looks pretty dang cool. I like its profile. I like the power. I don't think I've ever seen one on the road. I may have never seen this.
They didn't sell them in the US.
Oh, Steve, I would never go against you on that, but I have seen them on Bring a Trailer. I don't know if they brought them in, like maybe those people individually brought them in.
I'm pretty
I've
sure.
seen them in the secondary market.
I could be wrong.
But either way, if they did, I would own one. And they cost, as you would imagine, not much.
Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. All right, let's move on to, by the way.
All right, we'll finish with this picture right here. Please, Jaguar. Return to grace, space, and pace. This is one of their old advertisements. So great advertisement. Please return back to that.
That's so beautiful.
That was, yeah.
All right, we're going to do next.
I guess we're going to do 993s. So Adams,
I'll sit back and relax.
Talk about your recent purchase. As we were saying before we started, we already know that you bought a 991.1 50th anniversary 911. Also, as Stephan calls it, the 5.0.
5.0.
Came with traction bars.
So talk about this 993. It's a beautiful car.
Okay, 993 joins the garage for who knows how long. I never know how long. You guys have predicted a couple of mine that were going to be short-lived in my garage, and now I trust you when you make those predictions because you've been better than I have. But the 993 is a lot of people. It's kind of a soft spot for people who love 911s, and you can just say, like, here we are post the Jaguar discussion about honoring your legacy. The 911, of course, having been with us since '63, and you squint your eyes, you can still see the basic shape today, and they've never not called it a 911, although the internal designations change from the 901s and then the G series, and then there was the kind of confusion of a 964 then a 993. Those were the last two of the air-cooled era. So the 964 was, help me here, 89 to 94, and then the 993 from 95 to 98. So just a 4-year model run. They sold about 60 something thousand of them. And, they, by Porsche's own admission, they had gone as far as they could go with an air-cooled car stuffed under the back of that little engine lid. It was doing 282 horsepower, same horizontally opposed, flat six, Motronic. They were getting pretty fancy with the fuel injection of the day. And mine is a narrow body car. And I was going to say just a narrow body because, it's sort of a more of a base model. And up from that was the S. And the S got the turbo brakes and turbo fenders. And it looks cool. I'll admit it looks cooler. Mine has that's the front end of a S, which was a popular thing for people to do. They would just buy the front fascia or a Euro fascia and put it on the front there. And it looks a little bit cooler, but the S and the base 993 had the exact same motor, same horsepower. Yeah, the brakes and the suspension were different, but as far as power, there's no real advantage. And Roof famously chose the narrow body cars because their aerodynamic frontal exposure profile was cleaner in his opinion, and I would trust his opinion on that for top speed's sake. But it represents a lot of things that people in Porsche lore land really like. Last air-cooled, too many, the prettiest of the air-cooled, of course that's debatable, and just a favorite of mine.
Well, I'll say it's my favorite too. It's probably my favorite 911 of all of them. And a couple of things about it, they're very desirable now, and it's been the last air cooled since 1998 when they rolled out the 996. This is not a new thing, 25 years, but they have been increasingly popular and increasingly cool, and therefore increasingly expensive. And I think the reason for that is that I call it the Singer effect. So old 911s were just old cars. That's it. And you get nice ones and you could restore them, but they were just nice old cars. And Singer took 964s and made them look like old 911s, but everything was brand new. Every piece on those cars were completely brand new. So all of a sudden you can get an old air-cooled 911 that was new. And people were like, whoa, this is really, really, really cool. And I think once people knew from Singer you could do this and get this old car that was absolutely beautiful and brand new with none of the problems of old cars, people were like, wow, these air-cooled cars. Okay, even the guys that don't want an old, leaky, loud, kind of unsophisticated 911, which a lot of old air-cooled 911s are, those guys were said, hey, this is great. And then people who couldn't afford it, which is like everybody, Singers are basically $1 million cars, at least, they said, what do we have if we can't afford a Singer? And I think the answer for many is the 993.
I think that's a great perspective. The Singer effect, I think that's real. And it gave people permission to mod their cars. It used to be, it was this sacrosanct world. Oh, don't change anything. You're going to screw it up. Every dollar you spend on a modification deducts $2 in desirability and secondary market. Singer disproved the living heck out of that. Spawned a lot of imitators too.
A lot of imitators. So yeah, I love it. The last air-cooled 911 went to Jerry Seinfeld. He talked about it on Spike's show, and he said that he called up the CEO of Porsche when he heard that they were going to transition to water-cooled, or as he calls it, liquid-cooled. And he said, hey, I know the last one has to go to the museum, so can I have the second to last 911? And the guy said, I'll call you back. By the way, how many people can call up the CEO of Porsche? But anyway, the guy called him back and said, you can have the last one. And so he said he spent a lot of time. He goes, he felt like it was pressure. And he spent a lot of time. Do you guys know what the color he chose was?
I'm sitting here racking my brain, Steve. I feel like I've seen that car on a lino.
Oslo blue.
Nope.
No.
Is it yellow?
It's a great choice. As soon as you said it, I'm like, it's such a perfect choice. Mexico blue. And
Oh,
Mexico blue is
okay.
similar to Riviera blue. It's a pretty light blue, but it's very vivid. And I think it looks so good in the 993. The only 993 I've driven, which I think is funny, is the 993 Carrera RS, which is unbelievably rare.
nothing like
And
starting at the top.
I drove a friend's Riviera blue, and Mexico blue is similar to rare Riviera blue. That type of light, vivid blue looks so good with the lines of the 993.
Well, all I gotta
So-
say is I want one.
Good for you.
So do I.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we
So
need
do
to
I.
have the next Cars on Call, or as you called it, Cars and Coffee on Call, because we're shooting this one in the morning. It would be great to get together and just do a ride and drive. We need to do that.
We do. All right, Stefan, you had some car buying experiences. So let's talk about that. Last week, Adams, you were not here, and I talked about some car buying experiences I had. And then I know Stefan is looking. So let's hear about this.
So we'll start with my sister-in-law. Her car, she's 73. Her car crapped out on her, so she had to get a new car. She has never bought a car. She's divorced, but never bought a car in her entire life. So she called me for advice. And then I was getting ready to go on a hunting trip and loading up my truck because I had made a table I had to deliver to the guy I was hunting with. And Ellen was like, "You're gonna take that old truck?" And it has 154,000 miles. I was like, boom, check, there we go. So I had been wanting a new truck anyway. And I talked about it. So anyway, so my experience, I was just cruising down the road and I just went on Auto Trader. I knew I wanted a 23 F-150 Platinum. I talked about the Ranger, but I looked at the Ranger to get the new V6 EcoBoost in the Ranger. It would be the same price as an F-150, and there's no ball coolers in the Ranger still.
Gotta have them.
You still at the highest package. You can't get it. European, yes, US, no. And that was like, and I sat in it, too small.
What was the first strike against it? It didn't have the
Ventilated seats.
Ball
Okay.
coolers.
And it had
Okay.
and had the 4-cylinder EcoBoost, but now you can get it with the 6-cylinder EcoBoost.
Okay.
Because I
I
still
used to
want
I
things
used to
going.
call it ventilated seats. I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would? So the one strike was the too small motor, and the ball coolers counts as two strikes.
2 strikes. And then to get
Very
yeah.
funny.
So that's out. I
Yeah.
love the criterion of like how people choose their vehicles.
Yeah.
So I'm cruising down the road. We're driving to Missouri with a buddy, and I got my laptop out, and I hit Auto Trader, and I find 3 trucks that are in the different options and criteria. But what I found was the 23 trucks are the COVID trucks. Supply chain.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no heated steering wheels in any of the 23 Fords, and there's no of the vibrating massaging seats.
This because there was a chip shortage, and I think they came with only one key for the same reason.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what
My truck only came with one key.
What's that?
My truck only came with one key,
Yeah,
and
they
I
only-
just beat on the
right.
deal. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, that was a chip.
crazy. That's some inside intel right there. Did you care about either the vibrating seats or the steering wheel? Did you care?
I would have liked the vibrating seats, or kind of they have more different movements, additional movements.
You mean
So
the ball vibrators?
yeah, the ball vibrator. So they have adjustable. They're a little more adjustable, but that wasn't
Part
that
of the
big a
ball
deal.
package.
Yeah.
They call it a snack vest.
The gonadal package.
The gonadal package. And so that reminds. So I guess I'll get back on track here.
I'm having a time myself.
But so then I found 3 vehicles that were within a distance around me that met my criteria. So then I just simply, through Auto Trader, logged in, signed up an account, sent notes to those people saying, please email me back an out the door sheet. So that's the out the door price. So what you'll see is they all add different dealer fees, doc fees, this fee, that fee. So you ask them for the out the door price, and basically you're saying, give me a bid, your final bid on what you'll sell this car to me for. So I got 3 bids on 3 different cars, and then I ended up going with the one that only has 5,000 miles on it, which is a plus. It had the Pro Trailer package, which is a real plus. And what that is where you basically turn a dial and it steers the truck and the trailer to where you want it to go.
Wow, that is impressive.
And it
Was
had
that
the
Trailer. I mean, you have a
I'm s-
boat, you have jet skis.
Well, he's got a trailer.
I've got a trailer, a boat,
Yeah.
and a jet ski. So I trailer a lot. So that's important.
I
And then
you need to report back to us later about how well it works.
okay, I will. And then it had the FX4 package, which is the off-road, which has got skid plates and all-wheel drive. And then a bonus was a 36-gallon fuel tank. Not that my 63-year-old prostate can go that long, but I still like that.
It's all
So
about
then so then I got it back to them, and they had like a $500 dealer surcharge where they
By the way,
added,
if you have those vibrating seats going, nobody wants to stop.
yeah,
You got to keep going.
just driving in bliss.
yeah, your wife will be driving it all the time. But
Where are you going, honey? I'm just going to be sitting in the driveway. I'm not going anywhere.
Amen.
so they had this $500 charge for nitrogen in the tires, an oil change,
Got to
and
be kidding.
but they did add the front driver passenger tent and then the tent across the top of the window. I'm like, I was going to do that anyway, so I was fine with that. But
That
still,
was
the
part
bottom
of the 500. That was part of it.
part of the 500.
Okay.
But that was on their out the door price sheet. They had everything added up. So it was Ford of Columbia, Tennessee. Worked great, did everything over the internet, texting totally. Said it's a done deal. Call them up. And just simply that was it. Then at the end, they send you the contract and then they add on, do you want to add on the extended warranty, the maintenance plans? I don't want any of that crap. So it's very easy to do it that way. Versus my sister-in-law, I find her the car at Hyundai of Tuscaloosa. And I say, listen, the salesman's going to be off here. Go drive this car. Tell him I want your out the door price. That's it. Just give me the out the door quote. Well, she gets that. Then she ends up in the finance office.
Uh-oh.
And
God,
she ends up in the
we
finance
all
office.
kind of are cringe.
Well, there's two sides to every story, and that's what's important here. So she calls me and says, they told me out the door price, but it's $4,000 higher because I got the tire package, I got the maintenance package, and I got the extended warranty package.
What
So
she
I
got
was-
was a good salesperson. That's what she got.
Well, I was a little pissed. So I called the dealership. And I called the dealership, and this is a family-owned dealership, been in Tuscaloosa a long time. I called them up and said, this is Stephan Moran with Cars on Call. My sister-in-law we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify. My sister-in-law bought a vehicle for you. I'm not real happy about what occurred in the finance office. Please give me a call back. Well, Brooke Meisner, who's the general manager, calls me directly, and we had a long talk about it. And she says, we do not put pressure sales in finance. We've been in this business a long time. We take pride in being an honest dealership. She was a little bit put off at first. Don't you go talking about my dealership on your podcast. I said, listen, I'm calling you because there's two sides to every story. I have kids and got to realize the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And then she calls me back, says, they record every transaction. She watched the entire video
Wow,
of
that's
the
impressive.
sales of the finance office and my sister-in-law. And she started off, she goes, if you get a release, you can come watch this video. Like that. She says, you can come watch this video. Says it like that. I said, knowing my sister-in-law, it was a long video. She goes, yes. I said, was it kind of painful to watch? She said, yes. And she goes, your
Wow.
sister-in-law had a lot of questions. And she asked the same questions a lot again. My finance guy was very patient with her, explained everything to her. He did not pressure sale her. She got confused because the car was a dealer loaner, and the sales guy said it came with the new car warranty, which it does, but it's less the mileage in the years. That's just the way. And
Because the clock started ticking back when it went into service.
She just couldn't understand even when I tried to explain to her, yes, you did get the new car warranty, but why is it only 43 months? I said, Celia, I tried over and over to explain to her. She's like, okay, well, it's not a new car warranty, but it kind of is like one. I said, however you want to understand it. But so two different experiences. So Tuscaloosa, I had previously sent my mother-in-law who bought her first car ever, and she was 95 from the same dealership. She had a great experience. And Brooke was like, is this still, I said, this is Celia Kelly. And she remembered the name, says, I said, yeah, I sent Hallie to you. And I said, Hallie to you to buy a car. And she said, well, is Hallie happy with her car? I said, well, not really. And she goes, why not? Well, Hallie had the car a week and she told me, this car you bought me, first of all, it's red. I said, yeah, it's red. So everybody can see you coming. And second of all, it does nothing but scream at me all the time. I said, yep, those are the safety features that are telling you you're doing something you should be doing. So Brooke thought that was funny. And we ended on a good note. So two different buying experiences, but I can tell you from my experience buying cars, I don't buy a lot, but the best way to do it is you find the car on Auto Trader, new, whatever, new or used, and you just simply communicate via email. And when you finally say, what's your out the door price? And they'll send you a thing out the door price. And it's a contract and you can walk in and buy it at that price. So you'll know everything up front. And on these used cars, nobody would back off on their price. That kind of was it's their bottom line price. Now, when I got my truck, it only had one key. I called AJ up, who was the salesman I worked with. I said, dude, this is a 1-year-old truck with 5,000 miles. It's got to have two keys. He goes, it only came with one key. And Steve, I didn't know that. But he said, I spoke with my manager. He said, come up here. You have to bring the vehicle to us because they have to program it. So he said, we will get you a second key for that car. So wonderful experience at Ford of Columbia. I would do business with them again in a heartbeat. And I spoke with the finance lady a couple of times because she wanted to sell me an extended warranty and maintenance contract. So I don't need it. But no pressure. Then they delivered the car to my house. No added charge. 2.5 hours away.
Columbia, Tennessee. Wow.
From 2.5 hour drive. They delivered the car to me.
I'm glad you finally had a good car buying experience in Tennessee.
Yes.
I know your last car buying experience in Tennessee was not good.
That was Mercedes-Benz in Nashville. That was an awful experience.
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit to the lady who took the time to watch that video to make sure that her words were not hollow. Hey, we are always honorable and ethical and we don't put pressure, which sounds like a little bit of a rehearsed script. However, she clearly was correct in having looked back at it. But I'm impressed as anything with that dealership doing that. Whatever company you're running, if you're willing to take the time to do that to satisfy or placate a could-be complaint, I think that's pretty danged impressive. So you left us on the edge of our seats. Did she end up buying it with the extra $4,000 stuff?
So she bought it and she paid for all that, and then got home and had buyer's remorse about those packages. And she was initially told that it would be by the finance guy, that it would be $45 times 3 to cancel those 3 contracts. And Brooke said, no, I don't think that's right. We got a new software, but Brooke called me back and said, your sister-in-law can come in and cancel those 3 contracts and there'll be no charge to cancel them. And she told me, she says she has, is it 60 days, I think, to do that. Yeah, 60 days cooling off periods. She can cancel those maintenance contracts. So
the state of Alabama only gives you a 3-day right of rescission. So Brooke has once again gone to extreme lengths to cover, protect, and keep her reputation intact.
Yeah, I think, it's unfortunate that some car dealers give all of them a bad name. And sadly, I think it's probably one of the cases where, you don't want to have all of the dealers tarred by the actions of most of them.
Yeah.
But that's probably true. I had a funny experience when I bought my Porsche. I bought it from San Antonio because I have a relationship with the dealer just because I write for a magazine there and I know them sort of. But I got a phone call when I got home and I said, and it was from them, they wanted to sell me a maintenance package where I got all my service, prepaid. And I said, do you have a map? And he said, yeah, I can get one. I said, okay, find San Antonio and then find Boise, Idaho. I said, how is this, seriously, bro, how's this going to work? And he goes, oh, okay. I said, it's my paperwork, so it's my address. So yeah, I never pay for any of those because I pay for maintenance when I bring the car in. The only extended warranty I ever got was on my E92 2013 BMW M3, and that has a V8 engine that costs almost $20,000 to replace if it has a problem. So I got an extended warranty on that.
Yeah, the extended warranty, I'm still toying with. You have until the end of your warranty to buy an extended warranty. And I'd buy the one directly from Ford. And a friend of mine bought it on his 911 Targa, and one of the electric shocks or lifts on that window went out after the factory warranty, but during the extended warranty. And that extended warranty that he bought was far cheaper than the repair on that car. And my F-150 has a lot of bells and whistles, computers, and shit, go replace a headlamp on one of these things. So I still haven't decided if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to buy the extended warranty or not. I did it on the Bullet because it has so many. It has got the electronic suspension, electronic steering, and it's got the electronic exhaust. So I bought, but I got to figure out what I'm going to do on this truck about that. I think it's like $2,100 to extend it 5 years.
Oh, to me, no brainer. But of course, you look in my garage here and see what the repair costs would be. There's no question I would do that. I would do it just to sleep better in case you're on some super long road trip and think, dang it, I should have done that. I did an extended warranty on my R8 that ended up paying for itself a couple times over. Not that car was unreliable, but it had a couple things pop that were just expensive. I didn't see them coming. Audi didn't see them coming. There's nothing really wrong with the car, just kind of expensive electronic things. And I had one on my first Cayenne GTS, and of course it decided to drop. It considered dropping the drive shaft out, what they call the cargo shaft. And that's a known problem. And Porsche eventually owned up to it, but it was about a $4,500 repair before Porsche owned up to it. And I'm not trying to diss Porsche, but that was a problem in that gen car. And my warranty, I think, was, I don't know, $2,500 for 1 year or something like that. And the $4,500 repair was appreciated that they did it, and they did it politely and all that. So I'm a fan of the extended warranty.
All right. Well, I'm going to, and you can buy a Ford extended warranty through a different Ford dealership. And the place in Tennessee was $200 more than where I could get it off the net. But since they're going to give me a brand new key and they delivered the car, I will buy the extended warranty from Columbia Ford. She said these extended warranties help us keep the power on. And it's true. Yeah. The sales that occur in the back office help.
Oh, yeah.
So big shout out to Ford Columbia and then Tuscaloosa Hyundai for making mine was a super easy deal, but fixing and making sure that my sister-in-law walked out as a happy customer, and she did not get misled by any stretch of the imagination.
She didn't get the drive shaft.
On that note, beautiful. All right, wrap us up, Stephan. That's great.
All right, remember to like, listen, subscribe, hit the bell. And if you're on YouTube or Spotify or Apple, if you click subscribe, we publish new videos, new podcasts 2 to 3 weeks, so you'll get an automatic notification to see when green light pop up. So, all right, guys, until the next time, we'll see you later.